everybody. I am Jessica Koch, and this is Profound Professional. And we are interviewing Jeannie Dougherty. I think I got it right. Yay me. So I am excited about relaunching Profound Professionals because we've been doing this interview series for, gosh, at least 4 years now, if not more. And we've been featuring amazing experts from all over the world. And we are really going to bring a whole slew more amazing industry experts as well as causes that we care about so that we can share and lift up the world and each other together as we grow. Jeannie, I'm so excited to have you. Jeannie is a certified money coach and mental fitness coach. So we all need to, lift those weights, both physically and mentally, right? And I love that the financial piece is not left out. So please share with us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and how you got there. I would love to hear about that.
Okay, great. So I became a certified money coach really because on my path of owning my own business, I wasn't that great with money. It wasn't that I was terrible, but I literally started my first business 11 years ago with no business acumen, no business experience. I just said enough and I was going to go do it. So it was a pretty rocky road. And along the way, my mom passed away, and it was like a big thing dealing with her illness. And then when she finally died, and then also dealing with her estate. So there was like a good 6 years of my business that I own. That was not fun. So all that kind of really shaped how I dealt with money, particularly in times of crisis, but also how I dealt with it in my day-to-day life. So what I learned through my own struggles and things like that is that I am a high performer. Surprise, right? A lot of us who are entrepreneurs and stay with it are usually more the high achiever, high performer, but we're also more prone to burnout. And we're also more prone to health issues, more problems with relationships. I think you're getting the point. So we have a lot of our own stress. And so we end up with the same, if you will, coping skills, just like everybody else does, unless we find better ways to handle what's going on. Now, I know I've met plenty of people who've owned a business who's like, money's like not a problem for me. They're like, they've got all their clients. And then I'm like, well, how long have you been in business? And they're like, oh, 25 years. So they're at a different stage of their business. But when you're first starting out, or if you go through a crisis, there is a different way to handle your money. So what I learned was that as a business owner, that I needed to make the ways that I had self-sabotaged myself to make that become an ally instead of like, oh, this thing that I should avoid. It's like, no, I really need to make it become an ally for me, because then the things that used to trip me up will become my strengths instead of just like, oh, my weaknesses is, oh, my weaknesses is, oh, my weaknesses is, and it's just like, oh, no. So I also learned along the way that there's certain money skills that all of us really need. And it's more than just manifestation. Just send me the cash, send me the clients. Nope, no. We need more than that. Because one of the biggest problems, especially with small business owners, is, well, even large businesses, they don't know how to sustain the amount of money that's coming in, their profit. So their profits keeps going down, then it goes up. And it's not a seasonal business. So that was sort of like a key thing. So I didn't know there was a money coach until 2018, until I walked into a dance studio. And because that was part of how I coped with my stress. Remember those days in the pandemic, we could go into rooms and breathe hard.
I think it's all coming back now. I've got that now. So everywhere I go seems to be back to normal. So putting that all behind me.
But there was a time that it wasn't a big deal, that you would be in a room, somebody had a cold, it wasn't a thing. Like there was none of these things that we think about now, or maybe don't think about, but they were certainly a consideration. So in 2018, I walked into a dance class, and there was a workshop that was going to be happening. It was actually 2.5 hours away from where I lived, but I was like, I gotta go. And it was run by a money coach. I didn't even know that existed. And I decided to do this, and I ended up signing up for a year for personal development, and I loved it. And then I was like, I want to become a money coach. Now, here's the funny part. to me at least. Maybe it'll be funny to some of the listeners. I had actually been money coaching for over a decade with my clients, with my family, with my friends, but I didn't recognize it as an actual skill set. So I just was like, I get it now. I understand what it is that I'm doing. So what I learned was to more than just heal, but I was able to make the things that were really stopping me from making money, building my small business, and then also this great work that we like to use, up level or upscale your business. Well, that felt like impossible, with what I had with my limited money skills. So now I'm like, here we go. So things are very different for me now. Now I'm also, a certified money coach as well as a mental fitness coach. Why do I offer the mental fitness coaching? Believe it or not, a lot of people have a lot of story around how you're supposed to make money, how much money is good for you, how much money is bad for you, how much money somebody else can make, and all that doesn't serve us. So we have to find ways that we can improve our own mental fitness, that we're focused on what's right about ourselves and not focused on what's wrong with ourselves or another person or a situation. Like there's ample studies on, how people are successful, like meaning how did they start a business and then grow it. They didn't spend a lot of time complaining about themselves and other people. They didn't. They took action and kept building what they wanted to build. And that takes real mental fitness strength. And we're all not really taught that. And so I love that I've created my own sort of hybrid brand, because there's no other money coach doing what I'm doing, of mental fitness along with money, so that you can improve your money skills, make those self-sabotaging ways become your allies. And then all of a sudden these, what other people call normal money skills, because you might not have ever learned all of them, suddenly get a lot better because you have the courage, you have the confidence, you have the network. All of a sudden your network of people start showing up, because a lot of times people are just quietly running a business and nobody knows who they are. And you explain that to them.
That's
they're
not
like,
good.
yeah. And they're like, oh, marketing and sales, it's scary. And it's where a lot of your business starts, and where it's going to probably not go is if you don't at least have the marketing and sales piece down pat. And then, of course, if you're not great with organization, you need to either hire maybe several people to do certain things in your business, or you're going to have to learn how to do a few things like running the back end of, say, your website, or you might have to figure out, a social media person, or you might have to figure out a bookkeeper, or you might have to figure out an accountant. And I could go on and on and on. And those are just some of the basics to running a small business. There can be so much more. But that's what I did. And one of the things I'm really passionate about as a money coach is really helping people get out of the rat race mindset of I've got to keep working and working and working. So because that's when you're chasing your money's not working for you.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how much you're making, your money is no longer working for you. So you've got to find a different way.
Yeah, one of the things that we work on all the time is plans to incorporate what we're doing and tying it to multiple revenue streams. We also build a lot of systems, and we just hired a finance director and CFO. And then our next step is a COO who will run the management team that I've developed, who run the systems and processes we've been developing together, so that then that CEO can just pick up and work and click into the systems is the plan. Because again, I don't know that I want to sell my business at this point or 100% retire, but I do want to be able to have it, working in the background and not need so much of me. And I think that for me, that's a big financial goal. I know that mindset and money have mattered a lot in my lifetime, because I remember when a switch flipped for me, like years ago, because I'm in sales and marketing. I was in radio advertising sales when I started my sales career. Like, talk about hard work and beat the street and door to door, business to business, contract marketing for a region, for a radio station, commercial ad. It was a lot of fun, and I learned a lot about sales, but I was only making a really small amount of money. And I had a lunch and a conversation with a girlfriend of mine, and I had this story in my mind based on my upbringing and how I was raised, that the whole eye of the needle thing, right? So if I had too much money, then maybe I couldn't, I wasn't a good person, or I couldn't go to heaven, or I don't know that I actually thought that, but somehow on a subconscious level, I think that was sort of blocking me, because we were having a prayerful and conversation, and she said, you're supposed to share your blessings and shine as bright as you possibly can. And that changed the very 30,000 a year in sales of the radio station. The next year I was beyond 100,000. I mean, same territory, same businesses, same contracts, same radio station, same commercials. Nothing changed, but how I thought about things. So what you do, I only share that story to say what you do is so amazingly valuable. Is there something that maybe 2 or 3, no more than 3 steps that they can take, either in the financial part or in the mindset part, or something that our listeners can do right now, today, or this week, that is going to begin to take the steps of making a difference in life, beyond calling and booking time with you, which we then do, but to our listeners?
Yeah, I'm so glad you're asking. So, for those of us who are watching or will be catching this maybe a little bit later, we're right around the holidays. And so what happens is, a lot of times people start going like, oh, I've got to get gifts, or I've got to get Thanksgiving, or I've got to pay for this, or I've got to pay for that. So what I encourage is, step one, particularly during the holidays, is consider being able to make a donation to a worthy cause. So this could be to your house of worship. It could be to a nonprofit. It could be maybe to another family member that might need some help, or maybe a neighbor. And it doesn't always have to be cash, but I definitely recommend that if you're going to give your time or your talent to help somebody out, that you go and treat it like it's $1 million client. Make them feel like $1 million client. Why? Because it's training you to start taking on $1 million clients, number one. But number two, when you actually are worried about your money and you're kind of hanging on to it like this, then what you're telling, whether you believe in God or the universe or just your own mind, that you can't afford to possibly give somebody $20, $50, $100, whatever, towards something that they could really use. That is one way to sort of break up this story of we don't have enough, we don't make enough. And I can't begin to tell you how many times I hear that. And I have to say, like, do you know, like, in other countries, people are surviving on less than $4 a day, and you're stressing over a $300 gift that hasn't even come, like, you haven't even bought it, it's not on layaway, none of that stuff. So number one, so that would be my first thing, is be willing to give. Please think of the cash first, but if you're really like, then go help somebody and treat them like $1 million client. The next thing I try to remind people is, if you're really worried about something, you got to ask yourself sometimes the simple question: is this going to matter 5 hours from now? Is this going to matter 5 weeks from now? Is this going to matter 5 months from now? And if the answer is yes, it's going to matter, what are your action steps? What is it that you think you need to do? Do you need to call somebody for help? Probably do. Yeah. Do you need to make a decision by, like, say, I don't know, by end of business today, close of business, or maybe before tomorrow, if that works better for you? Or is it that you just need to basically look at the situation differently, instead of from the stressed out, oh no, worried, take a couple breaths, sit down, maybe listen to some music, and then take a look at your financial issue. That would be step number 2, which is, a little bit of that mental fitness piece. And number 3, what I love as a money skill is, this is one of my favorite things, is that when you look at your bank account and you're doing this, oh no, it doesn't look right. Oh no, it's not good. Oh, then, there's a nice little easy way to do this. You can look at your bank account every time you do this and keep mentally adding a 0. Just 1, not 5. Come on, let's not get silly. Just one digit, 1 0. So if you're like $3.45 and you add a 0, Wow. It just went up a little bit for you. And if you're, around $300 and you add a zero, wow, it just went up for you maybe a big time. And then if people are like, no, Jeannie, I don't visualize. I've heard that. Have you heard this? People refuse to visualize. And I'm like, man, yeah, I don't think you really get it.
I am super visual person.
Yeah.
I'm able to do it, fortunately. It's a good and bad thing because my dreams are very vivid, like very vivid, because I can visualize very easily.
Yeah, yeah. So when I have people tell me they can't visualize or they don't visualize, I kind of remind them then if you don't want to look and see a number like a simple zero, then start writing it down. That you have all this, and then really important, give a date. So what happens a lot of times when people are manifesting this magical, experience is that they say, I want $1 million, but by when?
Right.
Makes it a lot easier when you put a date on it. So if you want an extra $300 to come to you by the end of, this is November that we're doing this, but if you want it by the end of November, or if it's December or end of January, whatever it is that you want, put a date on it. And then start looking at action steps.
I have a really cool chart in my office that shows like 5 or 6 different ways to get to $1 million. Like it's, this many of this much, of a product that you sell at this price, and this many of a product that you sell at this price. And I love that because when you look at it, it's like, oh, that seems simple, and then, and so that's sort of exciting for me. I love the tips. I also love the giving, because that leads us right into what amazing cause are we going to celebrate today?
The ASPCA, the American Society Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. They help year-round, because what's kind of forgotten here is that a lot of times families during the holidays cannot afford or take care of their poor animals, and so they have to surrender them. Or even in really sad cases, they come and rescue them because they're outside in terrible weather, or they just have an owner that, can barely feed them. So I think this is another great example. If you're down on humans, let's not be down on the animals.
I love that. And so this is ASPCA.org. That's where you want to go. ASPCA. There's a button at the bottom here, .org. And before we move on, I do also want you to make sure, and before we close out, that you go connect with Jeannie on LinkedIn, and also check out her amazing website. I love her website.
There I am, Jeannie Dougherty. So much is going on.
Let's see if we can. There she is. All right. So you can grab a counseling session with her. She has she does some speaking. So if you have a group, you want to invite her to come in and share. So check out some of her website here. Get a session with her and connect with her, and check out all of the things that you can learn from the brilliant Jeannie. I want to also, as we close out, ask you if you could share with us a book that you love, because everyone's building their book list for the year. I'm always building a book list. And then anything else you'd like to say before we say goodbye?
Sure. So one of the people that I love to follow on social media, and I've bought their books and I have their investment course, their power course, it's Kiana Danielle. And she is an Iranian immigrant who came here to the U.S. and she started off on Wall Street and she kind of failed. And she literally built an entire women's power course, investment course. And so she also writes books. And so the books are, less than $20. And one of my favorite books that she wrote is $1 Million Family, which basically tells you how to create the generational wealth if you really want that. So it's not, again, oh, I want $1 million today. It's like, well, what about the rest of the world or your community or your family? So it's a great book. It's a super easy read. I have actually shared it with other financial advisors and accountants and CFPs, and they love the book as well. And they love how she's just like, this is how you do it, guys. This is how you do it.
I love that. That sounds awesome. Any last words of wisdom beyond the book before we say goodbye?
If you can try to aim for 5 things that you're truly grateful for every day,
Yeah.
that can make a huge difference on getting through the holidays.
I love that. That is awesome. I'm Jessica Koch. This has been Jeannie, our amazing guest. This has been Profound Professionals. And I just want to remind you to be kind to yourself, be kind to one another. And if you're a speaker or you know an amazing speaker or business owner or subject matter expert who we'd love to feature and rave about their cause, send them our way and we'll see if we can get them on our next episode. Thanks so much for being with us, Jeannie, and bye, everybody.
Bye.